Hey everybody, this is Erica, the technology nerd who likes to film stuff, and I've been on vacation, but I'm slowly returning to work, so thank you guys so much for your patience. And I also have to thank Zach Nelson of Jerry Rig Everything for inviting me to make this video. So this is a throwback to my very first phone ever. And I'm augmenting this throwback with another device that I used at the exact same time to meet my mobile needs, and this is back in the early 2000s. So we've got the E815 by Motorola and the Dell X51V Pocket PC. So here is my very first phone ever. This is the Motorola E815 and it is a chunker of a flip phone. So I got this guy back in my sophomore year of high school on Verizon. This is the Alltel version because this is what I could get from eBay for this video. And until then, my parents didn't want me to have a cell phone. So this is back in 2005 when I was 16 years old. I'm going to be 30 this month, so that's been a long time. That's like 14 years. That's forever in the mobile space. So the E815 is a basic potato phone by today's standards with a poor 1.3 megapixel camera with flash, but it was better than nothing back then. It had a big, pretty screen compared to other things at that time. It had an external display to check the time and notifications like if I missed a call. And it also helped me frame selfies. This thing also had big keys, which I got really good at texting with. If you were from my generation, you might remember your wrists really hurting after using these things. This phone was also capable of MP3 ringtones, which was so impressive to me at the time. I edited and loaded my ringtones myself after re-enabling this ability because Verizon blocked everything cool that this phone could do because they undoubtedly wanted you to buy their own crap. In addition to all this, it was also my alarm clock. So this thing was the cream of the crop flip phone back then. The big draw to this phone for me, though, was that I could hack it to re-enable a rightfully built-in feature that's called dial-up networking. I wonder if you guys remember that. Essentially, it let me get data through my minutes. So I was able to connect this phone via Bluetooth to my Pocket PC. It acted as a modem for it, and internet, baby! Not a lot of kids at the time had access to a mobile device with internet, so I thought I was so cool or something. Now over to the Pocket PC side of things. Before I was allowed to have a cell phone, I had a PDA starting in middle school. Palm was the first thing I had. And I was the only kid that had one that I knew of. And the kids thought that I was strange and a nerd, but it was my thing. And of course, little did they know they'd be carrying around more capable devices later on, every single one of them, in the form of smartphones. So I was cool, they just didn't know it. So by the time I had my cell phone in my sophomore year of high school, I had the most powerful Pocket PC on the market at that time. It was called the Dell X51V, this guy here, which we're going to get into. So with my hacked E815 and dial-up networking, I used the internet for the most basic things. It wasn't especially fast or advanced like today, and really thinking back, internet social media wasn't hugely popular yet. Facebook was just starting out and YouTube had just launched. No iPhone invented yet. So I did things like check my Barron email account and browse for things on eBay I wished I could have, like any nerdy kid. I also loaded Google Maps or MapQuest for my mom. Life was so simple then in the mobile space. So of these two devices, the star player really was my X51V. It was to me then what a smartphone is now, just without the built-in connectivity, which I took care of. It had no on-device app store or streaming as we know it today either. My parents refused to pay for a data plan, understandably, so I didn't have a Windows Mobile phone, but as it was, Windows Mobile phones in 2005 were not as powerful as the X51V. So the X51V it was. This guy was my note-taking companion. It was my pocket organizer so I could put all my little important things in the calendar. It was my media machine so I could load my MP3s on there. Screw iPod. And it even let me play some cool games. SNES emulator. Cough. Cough. No, really, I don't condone pirating ROMs. Now, if you create your own ROM copies for yourself and don't distribute them, that's your own matter. So the X51V even had a GPU to be able to demonstrate a 3D game that was called Toy Golf. Now this was crazy stuff at the time. None of my previous devices could play such advanced looking games. The display on this thing was a huge 3.7 inches, and I was absolutely convinced that I would never need another piece of tech again. I lied to myself. The X51V was the first device to have the new Windows Mobile 5 operating system. It had a crazy 256 megabytes of flash ROM with persistent storage. Yes, I said megabytes. And 64 megabytes of RAM. This was intense stuff at the time, people. It also had an SD card slot and compact flash storage slot. This thing was going places. So because of this persistent storage, it was the first PDA I had that didn't delete everything when my battery died. So in freshman year, my Palm Pilot battery died, deleting all the instructions to the numbers I was supposed to do for my math homework. And I had to tell my teacher in front of the whole class why I didn't have my homework assignment. I had to say my Palm Pilot crashed, and it deleted the numbers so I didn't know which ones to do. Everybody just looked at me like I was a spoiled brat and nuts. I wasn't. I was just a nerd who saved up all her pennies. So wrapping this little throwback up, as powerful as it used to be, the X51V barely connects to the internet today. I have to turn off the Wi-Fi encryption security on my router just to get it to connect at all, which is not an option. I can't just leave my Wi-Fi network open. No longer compatible with today's security options. Now, as for the E815, dial-up networking no longer works. That's something that Verizon got rid of a while ago. The resistive touchscreen on the X51V and mobile interface is insanely outdated. It needed to be used with a stylus, and it's just really not enjoyable like today's phones are. And I can't even play YouTube videos like I used to be able to with the TCP/MP player. And I had a YouTube plugin that made it work. But it just says it's no longer supported. And lastly, it had no App Store, which came to Android and iPhone much later, pretty much when Windows Mobile died out. So I've been playing around this thing, and it's been really hard to find old applications to load onto this. I can load what are called cab files onto an SD card and install it from there, but when I try to install the software on my PC, it just won't let me. It tells me it has to be Windows Vista or older, so it's just dead. So 10 out of 10, no longer recommend. So both of these devices are effectively dinosaurs, when during their time, they were state of the art and I loved using them. So it was really fun to have them both in hand again to look at, but I'm going to be placing them both back on eBay. I don't quite recommend going and getting all your old devices and playing with them again, because you're going to discover that you can't do the things that you used to with them, and then it kind of ruins the nostalgia for you. So let me know what your first phone was, what your first smartphone was, what your first PDA was, whatever your first device was. So thank you guys so much for watching. This has been Erica, the technology nerd who likes to film stuff. Please rate, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell to be notified of future videos. And also, I know that other creators are going to be releasing their videos about their first device as well, so keep your eyes open for those. And have a good night, you guys.